How's everybody doing on this fine day? Back at it. Been a while, but we're back on. I'm using ZBrush today because I think I'm paying for ZBrush, so I kind of feel I feel a little more obligated to use ZBrush right now. And yeah, so today we're sculpting Oshawott. Pokemon Black and White was my favorite generation, always will be. So I thought let's go back to basics a little. Let's start out with sculpting Oshawott, something simple. He was actually one of the first things I ever sculpted. I might put a little photo down there so you guys can see. But I just wanted to go back, retry, and see how much better we got. So yeah, back to basics here. We were just blocking out his body. When you're doing Pokemon, it's a lot of organic shapes, really easy to do, not really too difficult. A lot of circles, blobs, nothing too difficult, which makes them really good to practice on when you're feeling like kind of like you're either new or you kind of want a refresher. So right here we're just adding his nose and his eyes. Gonna be putting him in a pose today and have a actual base for him to stand on. So I was just getting out the more major blockouts of his body, so then later on it'd be easier to pose him without having to do too much refinement. We just added a mouth here, elongating his snout, and just overall just getting everything going, making sure it looks all good. For the most part, it came out really well. I think the hardest part about this was just, honestly, the hardest part was just being as accurate as possible to the 2D references that you guys can see in the corner without making him look too off, because it's very easy to get so caught up in translating from 2D to 3D that I just end up looking kind of weird. So you kind of have to take some liberties when you're doing it in 3D, so you can it can look good in all directions, I would say. Yeah, right here we're just adding some texture to his eyes just to make it easier. I think when you block out the eyes, it makes it a lot easier. And there we go. Just adding his little teeth. And yeah, mostly all I'm doing in this video essentially is just adding a whole bunch of different body parts. And for this one, I actually did end up rendering him out. I poly painted him in ZBrush and I rendered him out in Blender. So you guys are gonna see the result afterwards of that, and I think it looks really good. I actually really love how it came out, and it didn't take too long either. So I'm definitely thinking I'm gonna probably do some more renders like that. I'm gonna try and probably see if I could stream on Twitch more of me doing the ZBrush and Blender painting. I didn't really post too much of it, or I didn't even record me painting, because at first I wasn't entirely sure if I was even gonna like fully commit to it. But now that I kind of understand it better and know how to do it a little easier, definitely something I'll record next time. And yeah, right here we're just adding on his little feet. Kind of went with the poly modeling route. Usually I'll probably go full organic, but this time I'm kind of starting to use Z modeler more, trying to understand it better. And it's actually quite useful when it comes to just making more basic shapes, especially like his flippers, because they're just like kind of like flat edges, like little wedges. So that was really cool to do. And now that I'm having a better understanding of it, I'm definitely gonna incorporate it more. For the next sculpt, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll be honest with you guys. I was kind of thinking we could go another Pokemon route. Knowing me though, it probably wouldn't be another Pokemon. It'd probably be something completely different. But I'm gonna actually try and get something out, because I know we're trying to do that whole weekly speed scope thing, and it's been going pretty well. I don't know if I'd call this this is a speed scope because it only took a day. And yeah, we're just adding his little oyster shell here and just making it a little plump, a little refined, just so he could be holding it. And yeah, Black and White was definitely my favorite generation of Pokemon, so this was really nice callback, especially since this was one of the first things Oshawott was the first thing I ever sculpted. It came out horrible at the time, but when I was doing it at the time, I thought it looked pretty nice. I was surprised that it even came out as good as it did. I thought it would look horrendous, which it does to my eyes now. It does look horrendous, but I can say I definitely appreciate how far we've come. So I thought that this callback was really nice. And right here, we're just starting to pose him up a little. I would definitely say, looking back at it, I kind of wish I exaggerated his pose a little more. It could have been a little better, but know it could have been a little more expressive than it is right now, but I think that once you see the end result, I think it'll come together pretty well. Considering that this was done in like 2 days, I should say. Considering it was done in 2 days, I'd say it's really good. And right here, we're just doing some more poly modeling for his tail. Mostly just did poly modeling for anything that looked like it didn't need. It would have been more work to organically sculpt than it would if I just poly modeled it and gave it some subdivision, which is essentially what I did right here. But for some reason, the middle was acting up, so I had to just redo it. And then I had it on mirror, so it was acting up a little more too. But then we eventually got his tail done. We just moved it to the side, and that was all good and dandy. And over here, we're just starting on the base. I wanted to kind of make it feel like a rocky, beachy kind of base, so I started adding in a bunch of blocks in order to start blocking out, the ground. I really like making like rocky textures, so that's kind of what I went for first. So here I am, just kind of flattening out all the edges, making some pointier than others, kind of giving them depth, you know, all that stuff, and just making it more aesthetically pleasing to look at. But this was one of the funner things to do, because really when you want to make rocks, all you honestly need is the move tool and the flatten tool. It's actually really awesome how easy it is. So right here, as you can see, I'm just making them look a little more organic. And then I started at some point I'm gonna dynamesh it just to add some more verts. And here I'm just moving the shell, so to kind of make it look like he's attacking, because I'm gonna add water at the end to make it look like he's spawning water out of the sea. And right here, yeah, we're just gonna dynamesh, and then we're just gonna keep on using the flatten tool even more, trim dynamic. And I'm telling you, I was surprised when I did this. I was like, this came out extremely well, considering how you're only really using 2 brushes, move and trim dynamic. Now, okay, to be fair, here I'm using the orb tool, but that's neither here nor there. Right there, I was just checking out how it looked, but the orb tool really didn't need it, honestly, so it was kind of like irrelevant. And once I was done, I just started adding in the water effect by cutting in some holes on the inside of it. I was watching Sasuke Koro's tutorial. No, I was watching a colossal course about how to do it, making water. So that's just what I'm doing right here, and just kind of bending it to look like he's shooting it out from the side, which was really fun to do. At first it was a little annoying making the water, but once I got the hang of it, it became a lot funner. And right here I'm just kind of making it a little thinner, trying to give it more dynamic look. And then I switched to the I forgot what it's called, but it's the brush that basically allows you to add more geometry while you sculpt. And right here we're just adding on a bunch of little bubbles just to make it look a little nicer, a little more, what's the word, bubbly, because it's water shooting out. And yeah, this part was kind of worrisome at the beginning. I didn't really like how it was turning out. I thought it looked really bad, but after a while it just started coming up together once I just kept playing with it, and it started looking really good. Just needed a little bit of extra care and tear. But yeah, this one was a quick day sculpt. Didn't end up streaming it on Twitch, but definitely for my next ones, I'm gonna try and stream them on Twitch, because I think it'll be really nice. As you guys can see here, we're just adding some more bubbles, kind of making it look a little more organic on the water, just so it overall has a better look when it comes to the fluidity of it. And it was really fun doing the water. I think I definitely want to do more like FX and ZBrush, like sculpting water, fire, lightning. So the next character will probably, or most definitely, be something relating to that, so I can add something. And besides that, we're just refining it a little more, kind of making it a little thinner, because I felt like it was just a bit too thick of water. It felt more globby than it did fluid. Right here I'm just adding little side bubbles. But yeah, coming up on the end of it, after this clip, you guys are just gonna get to see the render. So had a lot of fun with this one, and just wanted to say thank you guys for tuning in. If you really enjoyed this, I ask that you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time on the next sculpt. Have a great day, guys. Peace.